Hello there everyone and welcome to Motorcast. Today it's time for the MotoGP review of the Argentinian Grand Prix, and what a Grand Prix it was, with action-packed excitement from the start to finish, and it ended with a Yamaha 1-2 and a completely contrasting race for the two rival teams of Yamaha and Honda. 350 races for Rossi and Beni, second win from Vinales. Is Vinales the favourite for this championship?
Well, yeah, as I said in the season preview, he definitely looks like he is the favourite this year. He's just been very quick at basically every track they've been to so far, and the bike looks reliable and quick, so he's probably the title favorite. But who knows, maybe Rossi can challenge him if he finds the pace that he's missing, or maybe Marquez, because in the start of the race he was very quick, but he just sadly fell. But yeah, I think Vinales only has one real weakness this season, and as we saw in qualifying, he isn't the quickest in the wet, so if we get a lot of wet races this year, it could make the championship very, very interesting.
And if you haven't noticed, guys, Beni is a bit ill. He's struggling a little bit, so give a round of applause to Beni for, a metaphorical round of applause. Metaphorical round of applause for showing up, unlike somebody else. Anyway, let's move on to Honda. Well, Matty, a completely contrasting race, as I said, for the two rival teams. Honda losing and Marquez losing significant pace on Yamaha. Do you think, well, they'll definitely be gutted, but what a weird race that was, especially with both of them actually going off at the same corner. And really bizarre, actually, because it didn't really seem like they were going to come off. It didn't seem like there was any instability in the car. They just came off all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was sort of quite, like you said, it was quite sudden and unexpected, because Marquez has really shown in the past that he's quite comfortable around Argentina. So I think everyone watching the race when they saw him go down was head and hands just in shock. I certainly was. The Pedrosa incident, though, I don't know with Pedrosa anymore. I'm not entirely convinced by him these days, but certainly the Marquez incident I was quite surprised by.
And just a general opinion poll for both of you from Yamaha. Obviously, Vinales was ahead of Crutchlow, who was in second quite a long time. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, I know, but would you say that Rossi would have beaten Vinales if he'd have got past Crutchlow, or not, guys?
No.
No.
Okay, that's a fairly conclusive answer. So I think that's pretty much it, because, fantastic race for Yamaha, and a fantastic race for their sister team, actually, we'll move on to in a little while. But yeah, a fantastic race for them. Also, an absolutely fantastic race from the independent great British driver of Callum Crutchlow. And what a race it was from him, Matty. Just absolutely awesome. And, he nearly had second, but third's fantastic, isn't it? Still. He
did the un-Cal Crutchlow thing of not binning it. Yeah, mightily impressive, being the only... Well, he's on this year's Honda, and he's kind of effectively the third Honda factory rider, so... very impressive, and means Honda come away at least with something, even though it's not exactly what they would have wanted. But massively impressive, and sure he had the pace to keep it up there as well, finishing only under 4 seconds behind Vinales.
Yeah, like you said, I was thinking throughout the race, Crutchlow's going to go at some point, but didn't, to be fair, at the end. And Beni, do you think we can expect more of this from Crutchlow throughout the season?
Well, of course we can. He's a great rider, and well, his only problem is that he can bin it quite a lot, but and I think if, as I said in the preview again, if it's Crutchlow's weekend, we're gonna see him on the top.
Yeah, I completely agree there. And moving on to Ducati, and Dovizioso simply has no luck, does he? I mean, last year he was taken off at the final corner by Iannone, and this season, probably less intentional and, a bit more unlucky, he was took off by Aleix Espargaro for Aprilia. And, the Ducati of Lorenzo actually went off on the first lap. And that was bizarre, wasn't it, Matty, the Lorenzo incident?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows that, to me at least, that Lorenzo isn't exactly comfortable with the Ducati yet. I'm not exactly sure whether there's enough pace in that Ducati. Obviously, Qatar had a reasonable showing with Dovi finishing second, but Lorenzo was still a way down, and I don't know. It's a difficult thing to call with Lorenzo at the moment. because you would think he probably should be doing better than he is. Obviously, it's unfortunate that he went down and he wasn't able to continue on, but it's just one of those things where you have to see with time whether he's gonna keep going as he is, or whether that Ducati is gonna get some pace from somewhere, and Lorenzo's gonna start really performing to that bike's potential.
Yeah, I think he's definitely struggling. It was clear to be fact that he was quite a way down the grid in this race, and he didn't really do that well in Qatar either. But Beni, can Lorenzo, call his championship chances off now already?
Well, not entirely, as we've only had 2 races, and I think it's mostly over because he didn't get a lot of points from the first 2 races, and so far he hasn't exactly been good on the Ducati, but I think towards the end of the season he's gonna get more comfortable, but as it stands at the moment, he's probably gonna lose more than enough points in the first half of the season to just call it quits for this year's championship.
Yeah, and Suzuki also getting no points. A very bizarre day for the factory teams. It was just really Yamaha that really, benefited them and the sister team Tech 3. And Matty, again, that was bizarre, wasn't it, from Suzuki? Ian only getting a ride through penalty, and Alex Rins going down. It certainly wasn't their best day, was it?
No, it's been one of the weaker days, I think. Like you said, none of the manufacturers having a particularly good time of it out there. I was probably expecting a bit more from Suzuki for the race, if in all honesty, probably a bit more from Iannone, but obviously got the ride through, and then Rins was, up thereabouts, and unfortunately came off and took out Dovey with him, so I think it's just one of those weekends for them. The pace on the bike looked okay.
Just a quick note, Rins was injured before this weekend. He fell in some practice on a motocross bike, and this crash probably made his injury a bit worse. Yeah,
that's got to be a bit worrying, isn't it? With the COTA GP, the Texas GP, or the American GP, or whatever you want to call it, in a few weeks' time. Hopefully, he can recover from that, and it'd be nice to certainly see the Suzuki's back up there. But next, we're going to move on to Yamaha's sister team, Tech 3, and another fantastic display again. Zarco, as we all saw in Qatar, was doing fantastically until he fell, but he just beat his teammate by about 3 seconds in the end. And Matty, Yamaha Tech 3 beating Ducati's drivers quite easily, really. Is that a shock to you?
Not as much as you maybe would think. I mean, obviously, with them being the team, well, not a manufacturer team, maybe you'd be a bit surprised that Ducati aren't all over them. But Tech 3, they've always proved to have been solid when producing their bikes, and they always have a brilliant set of riders with them. And Zarco and Folger seem to be doing a decent job in them. Obviously Zarco in the first race, but this race was good for him because it showed he had the good mentality to be able to get over what happened in Qatar and just keep riding. But they've got a solid bike, so I'm not massively surprised that they outperform Ducati.
Yeah, and obviously by Ducati we mean the Pramac team as well, because obviously Pramac are powered by Ducati. But Beni, I think you predicted Zarco to get the podium this race. Not quite, but to be fair, he wasn't far off, was he?
No, he wasn't, especially after what happened in qualifying when it was wet. Zarco it was due to a bit of inexperience on the bike in the wet conditions, but he did a good job for the conditions, and had he qualified higher up, I think he might have been able to fight for higher positions. But yeah, he just showed really good pace, beating out a lot of experienced riders, and with having a harder tire. So as most of the field had the medium rear, and I think there's only him and Petrucci that had the hard rear tire, which obviously had less grip, but should last longer. But I think that he did a really good job, so thumbs up for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Beni again, Aspar, Pull&Bear Aspar, this weekend. We all know what happened. Abraham qualified second. Bautista finished fourth. And I think the only thing we can say here, Benny, and you can probably answer this question, what on earth?
Well, I can't really explain it, because in qualifying, Abraham stuck to the back of Marquez during Marquez's pole lap and got a whole lot of time there, and that's why he was probably second. But in the race, I don't know how Bautista made it to fourth position. You know, he's a really good rider, but still, at the level he was performing at, I didn't really expect it on that Ducati.
And Matty, obviously, Abraham pretty much dropped through the field quite quickly from that second place. And with Bautista finishing fourth in the end, does that just emphasise for his teammate only finishing 10th after qualifying second and Bautista finishing fourth? Does that just emphasise how good a ride it was from Bautista?
Well, it was an extremely solid ride by Bautista. Maybe getting a bit lucky with some of the accidents, of course, that went on through the race, but I think the only thing you can probably think about is Abraham perhaps disappointed, but obviously he had the perfect conditions set up for him in qualifying, being right behind Marquez. So maybe if Abraham hadn't have fell so quickly down the field so early on, he could have kept up with the guys up front, or at least, you know, kept within a decent amount of pace with them. But you shouldn't take the limelight away from Bautista, because that was a brilliant ride from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And on to KTM, one of the the factory bikes, and very good from them actually, because they got their debut points, and actually it was a milestone weekend for them as well in Moto2, because they actually got the first podium in that as well. And Matty, how significant is this for them to get their first milestone? Not only get 1 point, but hit that milestone and get 3 points, courtesy of both drivers finishing in the points.
Well, of course, the sooner they got it done, the better for them. So to get 14th and 15th, you know, to an outsider, I'd be like, oh, that's not particularly brilliant. But it is small steps for them. They're obviously starting from absolutely nothing. So the pace of the bike, of course, we've been talking about in the last few weeks, has not been particularly good. But to be able to finish on the lead lap, and yeah, they looked okay out there. They were at least getting in some races with some of the guys at the back. They weren't getting properly distanced this time.
And do you think, Benny, that they can maybe start to compete with some of the satellite bikes at this point of the season, or do you think it'll be a bit of time yet before they can compete?
Oh, it's probably still gonna be quite a struggle, but it's definitely gonna give them some confidence for the season that's upcoming. But yeah, considering they got a bit lucky with a lot of retirements in this race, but I think that towards the end of the season they're gonna be challenging the satellite bikes more. But as of now, I think it's still gonna be a struggle for them to challenge for the points.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. I completely agree. And speaking of retirements, unfortunately, Aprilia had a double retirement today, and we touched on it a little bit earlier with the Aleix Espargaro crash into the Vizioso. Now, that was just simply, I don't know if it was outbraking or if it was just a mistake by Espargaro. It wasn't really that clear, but Espargaro was very quick to, apologise for Vizioso. And like we've said with really Ducati and Suzuki, Benny, it just isn't a really good week. It just is a not great weekend, isn't it? And I think Ducati, Aprilia, Honda and Suzuki can just look back and go, well, we can, look forward to next weekend, but let's not look back at that at all.
Yeah, it was a horrible day, Sam Lowe's, he still got a lot to learn in the class. But on the positive side, Aleix Espargaro had some great pace, especially in the second part of the race before he crashed into the Vizioso. So I think it's a bad news for Aprilia considering the result, but I think it's on the positive side. Their bike looks to be quite good, especially in the second part of the race. So that's gonna give them some more confidence for the rest of the season, and probably they'll be challenging for better results race by race.
And on to Pramac now, Octo Pramac, who we discussed a little bit earlier. They were just behind the two Tech-free bikes, and a solid result really. But Matty, Petrucci looking a little bit nervy actually, not riding fantastically. Is that a bit of a worry for the team, or do you think that was just something that was just on the day and they don't really need to worry about that?
It's not major, but it's certainly... They probably had a word with him after the race and just, asked him if there was something up with the bike or whether he just wasn't feeling it. I don't think it's anything massively to worry about with Petrucci. It'll just come with the season. The confidence will grow with that new bike. So, and then of course Redden finishing in 8th. I think, is he now 4th in the championship?
Yeah, he is. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, kind of incredible that, but obviously a good solid result with him finishing well inside the top 10. Was having a bit of a battle with Jack Miller towards the end, but yeah, solid result.
Yeah, very much so. And I don't think there's much more to discuss about Pramac, so we'll move on to our final team today, which is Matty's favourite team, because it includes his favourite rider, which is Tito Rabat. And the Marc VDS team, Tito Rabat in 12th, Jack Miller in 9th, and Beni, Miller and Rabat with some solid points today.
Well, yeah, it's a good result for the team, but yeah, looking at it overall, Miller had a good showing, but Rabat still only towards the rear of the finishers, which he just needs to perform better if he wants to keep his seat. And he was only back with the KTMs, who we know don't have a good bike, and Rabat's riding a Honda that's got much better results in the hands of other riders. So overall, a solid result for the team, but just it's not looking good for Rabat, sadly.
And then our final team then, folks, powered by Ducatis, Loris Baz and Hector Barbara. It's the Rail team. And, another 8 points for them. And as it was really today, Matty, with the, top drivers and the top riders going out, it was just a chance for teams like Rail, for Tech Free, for Pull and Bear, for the smaller teams to get some points on the board and just get some solid foundations for the new season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they kind of took advantage of other teams' misfortune here, and they're not going to be unhappy with that. Obviously, I mean, getting 2 riders within the top 13 is very good for their team. So, I guess it's sort of just trying to get in the mindset of the team there a bit, because they're a team that know they're at the back. So getting any result like this is going to get it's going to make the team very happy, I think. So they'll be very chuffed with this.
Yeah, definitely. And looking on to the next race, then we're going to preview the Grand Prix of the Americas, it's officially called. And obviously last year, Marc Marquez dominated the weekend with pole position, the fastest lap, and the podium. But it seems that the Yamaha is stronger than the Honda this year, so potentially the Yamaha could do well around here. But I think I'm correct in saying, Beni, that Marquez is pretty much a master around the Red Bull Grand Prix of the Americas track in Austin.
Not just COTA, but all other American tracks. He's really in the past few seasons, even back to the his Moto2 days, he's always dominated races in America. I think that as it stands, he won the last 8 MotoGP races in the USA from 2013 to today, and the last 9 he competed in. I think it was Indianapolis back in Moto2 2012, but I think he's definitely the favorite again this year, unless he crashes out.
Yeah, I was going to say that to you, Beni. What's your top 3 prediction for the race?
My top 3, I think Marquez is gonna win. Second, I think it's gonna be Vinales, just due to his good performances this season. And in third, I think it's gonna be Dovizioso. He's always gone good around this circuit, and I think it's gonna be another good day for him.
Yeah, Dovi actually crashed out with an accident last year, the same as Valentino Rossi. And Matty, in the Moto2 last year, Alex Rins actually won the race from Lowe's and Zarco, and then Fogels in 5th. Do you see any surprise people on the podium? And obviously, what's your top 3 prediction?
You could obviously see the likes of Zarco or Rins on the podium, I feel. Probably be a bit of an outside shot, to say the least, to see Sam Lowe's on the podium. Probably have to require quite a weird weather day in terms of weather. But in terms of top 3, I'm going to go with Beni with the top 2. because frankly I can't see anyone else beating Marquez around Coda. And Vinales is just in such hot form at the moment that you can't bet against him, even though I am sort of in this situation. Third though, I don't know. My heart's telling us Zarco, just for a little bit of an outside shot.
Very interesting. That pretty much concludes then our review of the Argentina Grand Prix for the MotoGP 2017 season. I'd like to thank Beni and Matty for being on the show today. And in a fortnight's time we'll be back with the Cota GP, which is live on BT Sport in the UK. I think it's at 8pm BST that race starts, so another late race, much like the first two races so far. But we've already look forward to that. Will either of these two's predictions be correct? I don't know. I'm not a genius, but there we go. I might be, but I'm hiding that for now. But
no, you're not.
all right, okay. But if you'd like to leave your predictions for the next race or any comments on this race in the comments, then feel free to do so. Make sure to like the video, comment, as I say, if you've got any thoughts on the video or predictions for the next race, then feel free to do so. And then subscribe for some more MotoGP reviews. And as we said on every single video, so many podcasts for all around the wonderful world of motorsport. So that's been it for today, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. So bye for now.